Christina Katerina and the Box by Patricia Lee Gauch, illustrated by Doris Byrne. Christina Katerina liked things, tin cups and old dresses, worn out ties and empty boxes, any of those things, but mostly boxes, hat boxes, bakery boxes with see-through lids, shoe boxes. Best of all, she liked big boxes. So she was happy indeed one sleepy summer day when even her sometimes friend Fats Watson was out of town to see a truck deliver a great, tall box. It came on a refrigerator. "Oh, how grand and new," Christina's mother said, looking at the refrigerator. "It is. Oh, it really is," said Christina, looking at the box, and she quickly claimed the box for her own and dragged it under the apple tree. To Mother, who was very neat and tidy, it seemed that boxes were for basements or trash barrels, not for front yards under the apple tree. But she decided that it couldn't hurt. It couldn't possibly hurt for one day or two to have the big box in the front yard, there under the apple tree. That afternoon, Christina's father cut out a window and door in the box, and Christina painted on turrets, a drawbridge, and bolts for the door, and the box became a castle. Inside, she put sticks on the window for iron bars, and she brought in all her cups and saucers and a lot of fig Newtons in case there was a battle and she couldn't get out. For 2 days, she and her bears lived and played in her castle peacefully until Fats Watson came home. He sneaked into her castle while she was out to lunch and ate all her fig Newtons, and she locked him in until he hollered, "I'm sorry," 15 times. When she finally let him out, Fats gave Christina's castle a kick and over it went, smack on its side. Mother came out and saw the fallen box. "I see that's the end of the castle, Christina," she said with a smile and started to haul it away. "But that's no castle," said Christina, hauling it back again. "That's my clubhouse." And it was for 3 long days, right there under the apple tree. Christina changed the window into a door and the door into a window. She put in 2 benches for members and a chair for the president, and she painted "Keep Out," "Members Only," and "Danger to Enemies on the Outside." And she let Fats join. Then they met in the clubhouse, which was very dark when the door was closed and very secret. And they spit on a nickel and swore to be friends forever. And they were. Until one day, when Fats got angry at always being vice president, he climbed on the clubhouse roof and promised to sit there until Christina made him president. Only the roof caved in first, and Christina disbanded the club. When Mother saw the satin box, she brushed her hands together. Now she would have her nice, neat yard. "Well," she said, "that is the end of the clubhouse," and she tugged it toward the street. "But that's no clubhouse," said Christina, tugging it back again. "That's my racing car, Hermione, and I'm late for a race." Before speeding off, Christina put the top on the bottom, turned the window into a cockpit, and on the sides painted 2 magnificent, curling silver horns, which she blasted at Fats every time she rounded the apple tree. For 2 days she raced around the yard and won every time, until Fats said he'd take a look at the motor, that it didn't sound quite right. When he cut off the nose to get at the motor, the car collapsed. Christina's mother was relieved. "Well, that is the end of the racing car," she said, and she pulled the cardboard toward the trash barrel. "But that's no racing car," said Christina, pulling it back again. "That's the floor of my summer mansion, and I'm going to have a ball." And she did, right there under the apple tree. She patted the box out flat and drew furniture on each flap: a stove and refrigerator for the kitchen, a bed for the bedroom, and a grand piano and a violin for the living room, so there would be music for her ball. Then she and her bears and Fats dressed up in gowns and high heels, bow ties and top hats, and they invited kings and queens and some presidents and one vice president to come. And everybody came, and they danced and danced until their feet hurt and they had to take off their shoes. Even without shoes, Christina had a wonderful time. Until Fats decided the floor needed scrubbing. He sprayed it down with the garden hose and mopped it until the floor puckered and grew lumpy and finally fell apart. When Mother came out a little later and looked at her front yard, she shook her head and said, "Well, and then, is this the end of your grand floor?" "What floor?" asked Christina, who was running by. "Oh, you mean that old ragged box? Let's do throw it away." Mother breathed a sigh. At last she could have her nice, neat yard. "But quick," Christina said. "Fat's mother got a washer and dryer today, and he's bringing 2 ships down now. I said my mother wouldn't mind a bit if we sailed them here in our front yard, right under our apple tree." Christina Katerina and the box. Discussion questions. Number 1. What can you learn from Christina about being nice to someone who was not nice to you before? Number 2. What can you learn from Christina about not giving up? And number 3. What would you make out of a big box like Christina's?